Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. And this week, we turn to believe in your business. How do you learn to believe in your business? How do you get it from where it is to where you desire it to go? Well, I put a little idea out there for you, a little bit of a challenge. Get an idea to start with of what your concept of a successful business is. That's the first thing we have to do. Now, before we get into this, I have to be doing this because I'll do it down the road anyway. Hopefully, we get a thumbs up from you. Please subscribe to our channel to get the rest of the videos as they come up. We're doing a weekly video series on getting your business up and running. Now, I am not a multimillionaire. I give you a lot of the things of what I'm not, but what I am is I am very determined to become successful myself in my eyes and help as many people along the way as I can get away with. Okay, the idea here is real simple. Go global. Okay. Now, it's not a question of becoming a millionaire. For me, I mean, I've just started getting things turned around and I gave away a I'm guessing the recliner probably cost us about $2,000 overall, but it served its purpose. We were ready to get rid of it, so I found somebody that wanted it. Right, instead of sending it to the dump, right, they were a little down on their luck as far as finances went. So the recliner went to somebody else to use for as long as they desired to use it. Now, to me, that's success. My bills are paid. I've got my utilities covered. My office is covered. I've got everything running properly. And now it's just a question of one step at a time. Okay, just making certain that things go one step at a time in the right direction. Now, that may not be for you. You may have something different. The first step is figure out your idea of what you see represents a successful business. Okay. For me, I figure if everything's running smoothly, I'm content. What is it to you? Are you happy with I shouldn't say just. Are you happy with having a home run properly? Now, I was talking to one gentleman a while back. He called me up and he was complaining his life wasn't going well. Right. And he complained, and we asked him, it's like, well, what does your wife do? Well, she doesn't do anything. She just stays at home and raises my three boys. And I sat there for about a nanosecond and went, well, change jobs with her. And he goes, why change jobs? She can't do my job. I says, you're a landscaper. Talk to your boss, explain the problem, as in you're having troubles at home and you'd like to swap jobs for a week. Right? Talk to your wife first, obviously. Well, he was the only chap that I talked to that I made that suggestion to. Because he told me, his wife doesn't do anything. She just stays at home raising kids. And I'm thinking, like, you really don't know what she does. Now, this applies as well if you happen to be a working mother and your husband is staying home and taking care of the kids. Rest assured, they're working. Well, he was the first one. He was the only one that's ever done it, at least and gotten back to me on it, and said he did it. And a week later, he phones me back and he goes, "Never again will I tell my wife she doesn't do anything." Well, their marriage stabilized and they went on. Now, rest assured, if you're running your household like a business, paying attention to finances, paying attention to the state of the house, paying attention to the way it runs, if that is what makes you happy, absolutely call that success. That is the business of raising a family. It doesn't just happen of its own accord. It takes planning, it takes organization, it takes creativity, much like many of the recognized businesses out there. But the home is the least valued business that I've come across. Okay, I've seen people in all sorts of industries where they look at me and go, "My job doesn't mean anything." Another prime example is dishwashers. Dishwashers are the one career where if you don't do your job right, the entire restaurant fails. And when I get around to the career side of things, I will deal with that. But business wise, I suggested that you take a look and decide what you see as successful. Okay, that's your idea of success is all that frankly matters. What other people see as it being successful doesn't matter. Let's say you've got a mom and pop grocery store. In other words, just a single family little corner store. You're dealing with your customers. They're happy with you. You're happy. You've got your bills paid, and everything's coming and going. If that's what you see as success, that is success, and that's the first thing you look for. I could go into a whole array of what I see as success. I'm working towards it. I've attained some of it. The first thing that I required was I desired to be debt free. I managed to get there. Now, I know I'm going to reiterate some of this stuff. I'm going to repeat myself periodically. Okay, if you've got specific questions, or general for that matter, if you look at the bottom of this video, you will see a list of ways of contacting me. Okay, absolutely reach out to me. I will either do a video on it or more likely contact you directly and give you an answer to whatever you're asking. Okay, the idea is very simple. Answering one person at a time is, I find I repeat the same thing over and over again. Hence why I finally took your guys' request and I'm doing this on a daily basis. Okay, the one video that is coming out every day is a series I call The Journey. That is the transformational process that I go on during my day-to-day life. Okay, and there's any number of things that might come up. Then I've got, now this is all part of my overall business view. Okay, I've got The Journey, which is day to day. On Sundays, I'm putting out a mini series. Well, it might be mini series. It may end up being ongoing. I don't know. On spirituality, showing the link between all of the religions and all of the spiritual paths that I'm aware of. Okay, and you'd be amazed how similar these things are. And if you join me on the Sundays for the video series on spirituality, you'll come to understand what I mean. Now, this is Monday. At least I think this is Monday. Just checking. Is this Monday? Yeah, I've got problems with that. Yeah, this is Monday. Good. Mondays, I'm going to be doing a weekly rendition on business and how to make your business work. But how to make it work for you. Now, understand, these are methods that I personally use. If your business is not working the way you desire it to, or if you feel there are hiccups that you don't know how to get around, okay, pay attention to what, listen to what I'm suggesting. Give it a shot. If you still got questions, absolutely contact me. Okay, one of the other things that I do with my business is I do consult. Now, I am not a multimillionaire by any functional stretch, unless we start looking at the number of pennies I make. And then I might be, I don't know, I haven't calculated it out. But, your business can be turned around. I will tell you right now, doesn't matter what shape you're in, well, it does. Most of the time, even if you're struggling, there is a way to turn your business around without spending a staggering amount of money and without going bankrupt. Okay. Personally, I've gone bankrupt twice, both at the guidance of so-called professionals. Now, I say that you're so-called because they were both of the times I went was at the guidance of bankruptcy trustees. Now, for those of you that have struggled with money, this may make you just unhappy. The first time I went bankrupt was on $6,000 in debt. That's 6000. That's it. The second time was on 14,000. Okay. And again, neither one of those should have ever happened. Can I tell you how to get past those if that's the road that things look like they're going? Absolutely, but there are so many variables. That one is a little tricky. But now that you've got the idea of success down, okay, do we have, yeah, it's right here. One of the important factors of getting things organized is stay organized. And rest assured, the funny part with business is this. Business does not care, money rather, does not care how you feel. You can be having an absolutely miserable day, and your money will not care one iota. It will simply carry on doing what money does. Now, money sitting in the bank will earn you a little bit of interest, absolutely. But we are talking a little. And I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. Aside from this one piece of advice. Okay, and it's one that took me forever to learn. Obviously, if I went bankrupt twice, it took me a while. Do not spend more money than what is coming in. And I mean more money than you can count on coming in. This idea of, oh, I've got $1,000 coming in next week that so and so is paying me, because so and so owes me. I'm going to spend 900 of it today because I'll get it tomorrow. Really, really bad path. Okay, because what happens if that 1,000 doesn't come in? Now you're 900 in the hole and you're already behind the 8 ball. Okay, so plan things out because money doesn't care. Now, what I was digging down here was this. Now, this, and needless to say, I have to rewrite it because you can see part of it's typed, part of it's handwritten. I just picked up a printer. I can't get the thing to read properly, so I've still got a problem there. It's not going to change and stop me from doing my own policies again by hand, and hang them up there where I can get at them. Now, I call it a policy book. Some people call it operations and procedures. And I strongly encourage you to write out your policy. It doesn't matter if you've got a business that's up and running or if it's one you're just starting to get up and running. Doesn't matter. Either way, in this case, the reality is better late than never really does apply. Now, what each of these policies is it tells me what the policy is, why I made the policy, and when I made the policy. Now, the reason for that is this. If I look at here, for instance, I've got a policy that when I am, when I do consulting, well, we'll deal with the other side. At Christmas, now, people have told me, well, why only at Christmas? It's not a case of why only. It's a globally recognized time of year. So considering the fact that I'm looking at aiming at going global, okay, the fact I'm looking at going global does tell me that I have to look at what everybody's going through. So Christmas is because it is globally recognized. Okay. And what I'm doing with Christmas is I will be sending out on the 17th of November, right? I will be sending out Christmas cards to my clients. Not an email that says Merry Christmas, not an email, not a phone call that says Merry Christmas. And because it's me, okay, there are many people that do it. Some people say Happy Holidays. Some people go Season's Greetings because they're trying not to offend people. Well, I'm not aiming at offending people, but I do believe wholeheartedly in the Christmas season. In that feeling. I absolutely believe in that feeling. So, on the 17th of November of this year, I will be sending out cards that do say Merry Christmas. Okay, that's me. Send out what you will or don't. But to me, there is something physical and there is something special about getting a physical card in the mail. And people will say, well, but you're destroying, you're using up trees. Well, you are. I have no idea what the chemical configuration is that goes into ink. Okay, so you're still using up material. If you're sending a video, if you're sending If you're sending out an email, if you're sending out a text message, you still are consuming something. Okay. Now, there's no right or wrong answer there. This is what I personally do, and my policy is very simple. I send them out on the 17th of November to ensure people get them. It's that simple. Okay. I also have this issue of making certain that when it comes to bill paying, okay, I know when my bills come in, but I've got a definitive date that when my bills come in, okay, I will set anything that I have to set up to arrange, get set up for the 17th. And here's the 17th of the month. The reason for that is because when a bill comes in, I both have a business and a career. My career, my job, if you will, pays on the 15th and the last day of the month. Well, the last day of the month is where rent comes out of. And I want to make absolutely certain, or more to the point, I desire to make absolutely certain that I've got my rent covered. Because I don't know about you, but I hate the idea of living on the street. Nothing against people that enjoy it. Okay, so by signing up for the 17th for other bills, I've got the middle check that I deal with that, plus whatever comes in through business. And then I'm clear at the end of the month to make sure rent is covered. Okay, very important that you get things organized so that you've got a routine that works for you. Now, again, I'm quite willing to talk to people to help them figure out what works for them, because it varies person to person. There is no right or wrong way. Well, that's not true. The wrong way is to keep putting things off and hope they'll go away. It doesn't work well. Just take my word for that one. Been there, done that. So, first you get your business and your purpose in place. Then you make absolutely certain you get your plan in place. Okay, how am I going to implement this? And that's where this funny little policy book comes in. Now you'll notice this is only one sheet, and you can't do something wrong. Well, I guess we could take it and fold it in half and call it 2 sheets, but it's one piece of paper. Okay, I have the same concept in mind for this funny little sheet here. They all hang in the same place. But this is my policies for running my household. Like I said, your house and your business are the same thing. They both run the same way. Money does not care how you feel. Okay. But like with business and life, both the same. Once you've got a plan in place, the one thing to keep in mind is when you're dealing with customers, there's a brilliant concept out there, and I have no idea who came up with it, that said, you know, the customer is always right. Well, rest assured, the customer is not always right. But the customer's opinion and perspective of you does matter. You know, if the customer was always right, number one, nobody would pay for anything. Okay, well, I shouldn't say nobody. I still would, but I constantly, you know, I'll go to a restaurant and somebody will go, "Would you like your bill?" And my immediate response is no, but then, you know, no thanks. Appreciate the offer. You know, the customer is not always right. Okay, however, it is the thing that does work is smiling at your customer, whether or not they're right, will make it easier to deal with them, as long as you're not sneering at them. Okay, so you get the plan in place on how you're dealing with things. Okay, you've got the purpose in place. Now it's time to start moving forward. Okay, and that really boils down to just getting an idea of what you consider the right path. Now, regardless of who you are, I get it a lot from people. It's my office, leave it alone. Don't help me organize it. And I agree. Somebody walking into your office and organizing it more often than not results in a disaster because you can no longer find the stuff either. However, organizing it yourself is an extremely necessary issue. Okay, right now I've got the little bins I need over here. I've got drawers over here that have things like my like my stapler and my 3-hole punch, I'm still very much a dinosaur. Okay. And of course, I got my monitors up here. I've got my printer right beside me here. Okay. And I no longer have a mound of dirt up, not dirt, of paperwork on my desk. It's all been put where it belongs. Make sure that your office, that your working area is easily accessible by you. It doesn't have to be organized in anybody else's fashion, just in yours. Okay, but the organizational side, by removing the clutter, by removing the problem. Now, here's the other thing we'll touch on here. There is something called feng shui. Now, most of the books that are on feng shui, which basically boils down to energy flow, most of the books that are out there talk about feng shui based on Japanese or Oriental culture, which works beautifully. Put your window, and I don't know the layout of their feng shui, but they do things like make sure that that your financial corner goes in the northwest corner, for instance. Never put a door in the southeast corner. I don't know what the specifics are. I'm just giving you an example. The reason it works for those cultures is because the entire culture is built on it. However, I will tell you this. In your own business, in your working office, having it laid out so that your financial stuff is all in one place, your correspondence stuff is all in another place, your family stuff is where it belongs. If you've got photos of your family, and a lot of people, if their family is going well, they keep them, or for that matter, if it fell apart and it's all they've got to remember it by, they keep a photo handy. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Get it organized. The more organized you are, the better the energy flows, the more profitable it becomes. Okay. Now, the neat part about it is you don't have to believe that energy affects the way your business runs. Much like you don't have to believe gravity works for gravity to really play havoc with your circulation if you step off a balcony. Okay. Energy works the way it does. Okay. And much like water, you do not stop energy from flowing. You guide where it's going. You guide it through intention, which is why up on that wall there, I have this neat little sign that says we have legally attained a minimum of $2,000 by 11:59 p.m. March 31st, 2021. Now, the reality of that is this. The $2,000 is what it costs me to run a household. I am home based. So running my office properly covers running my household at the same time. I require that much money to keep a roof over my head, to keep food on our table, and to make things work. With that said, you know what your own monthly expenses are. Write that sign down. Okay. Write that down and put it somewhere where you can see it. Now you'll notice I'm sitting looking at the camera. If I look just up here, that's where my sign is. Okay, it's still in front of me, it's just a little off to the right. Okay, so I put it where I can see it. I also, and this was just something that dawned on me just a little while ago, you'll see on the back here, there's a thermostat there and there's a sheet of paper. You probably can't read what the sheet of paper is, but what the sheet of paper is my business license. Okay, it's where I can see it, where even when I'm on the video, I can tell you, I can look at it, I'm reminded, I have a business. It is important to be professional. This does not mean be perfect. Okay, a lot of you may be looking at it going, but I'm not doing everything absolutely perfect. Well, rest assured, I can give you all kinds of examples of people that are now multimillionaires that did not do it perfectly the first time. Okay, but every one of the ones I've talked to have said the same thing. Once you do it right the first time, if you mess up, it's easier to regain your footing. I prefer the idea of not messing up, but, good luck with that thought. Part of life seems to be messing up. Okay, so we are talking about getting things organized so that you can get at it easily. I can turn and get at most of what I require. Okay, much as I've got a cordless phone, right beside me, if my cordless phone dies, I've got a locked in landline, a wired in one, so that even in a power outage, that phone will work because it doesn't require the electricity. Now, I'm very much a dinosaur. Okay, yes, I work on a computer, but I rely on pen and paper. That's how I keep my business running, which is why when I look here, that would be my database for clients. Okay, this would be my database for necessary numbers and what have you. It is not on a computer. If I have a power failure, the worst case scenario, I got to find a flashlight to be able to read these. Okay, but even in a severe power outage, I will have my database, and you see that little gray box on the shelf back there? That is a cash box. Old fashioned, I'm a dinosaur. It also has cash in it. Okay, so from that end, it works out beautifully that things do work in a positive fashion. Okay, I keep it, if I have a major power outage, and in today's world that's very possible, I have my database, my phone, and my cash flow all right here. Now, I still use banks. I still pay attention to all of that. Okay, but it becomes a very critical factor from my standpoint of having everything, having that contingency in place in case there is a complication. Okay, this is the issue of getting organized. The other thing I did find is this. When you get up in the morning, even if you're home based, and primarily, especially if you're home based, you may be real tempted to stay in your house coat and do your work that way. I will tell you, you will feel far more, at least I do, you will feel far more productive if you get up, you get things organized, you get dressed, get cleaned up as though you're going into an actual office, and get to work. And yes, quite honestly, even when I worked in the office at my job, this was pretty much what I did. I got up, I got dressed. I'm not fancy. That's just the way it is. This idea of wearing a three-piece suit and a necktie doesn't work for me. I mean, the three-piece suit, the blazer, I think they look fantastic. I have a problem putting things around my neck. So putting a tie on doesn't exactly happen. Okay, and I've made it very clear to people that I am not interested in wearing a tie. I was told by one person, if you don't wear a tie, the business society will not pay attention to you. My immediate response was, if they're relying on my clothing to tell whether I know what I'm doing, then they may not want to talk to me anyway. Okay, and the reason for that is I'm not known for being subtle. I actually had a boss tell me one day what he wanted me to do, and I looked at him and went, ain't gonna happen. Well, who do you think the boss is? I says, you're the boss. What's your point? I'm still not doing what you're telling me because it's dangerous. Now, do not ask me why I didn't get fired. Okay. The reality is, what you see is what you get. Okay. And I've always held the idea that if you're going to ask me a question, be certain you desire the answer because honestly, you may not like the answer, but at least I won't lie to you to make you feel better. If I have an idea of what I'm doing, I'll tell you. If I don't know what I'm up to, I'll tell you that too. And I've told people, I don't know if this will work, but give this one a shot. Okay. Bear in mind, I can tell you how a business is necessary to run. I am not a millionaire, but in my eyes, I am very successful. I've got all my bills paid. I'm no longer in debt. Right. I've got all of my stuff in the house, including having enough food in the house to last me a month or two in the event of a shortage. So all in all, I'm successful in my eyes, and possibly in your eyes. And do I have the ability, do I have the insight to be able to tell you how to get from where you are to where you would like to be? The answer is yes. Frankly, regardless of the business, because money doesn't care what you feel like, and business, regardless of the venue, runs the same way. Okay, so I am going to encourage you to work together. Now, there is no way. Boy, we did run this one a little long, so I'm going to tie this off, and we'll get back to this next week on how to really get your business running with other people. In the meantime, I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to suggest, absolutely give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. But until we talk again, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.